Welcome, everyone, to yet another State of Greater Western New York report. You know, it's been a little bit more than a month, or roughly a month, since the 2024 presidential election. And now's a good time to maybe collect some of that data in the terms of a historical diary. So we're going to do something a little bit different. This won't be an interview show as much as it will be a roundtable. That's what you'll see in a few moments on this week's edition of the State of Greater Western New York report, which is, as always, is brought to you by... Welcome, everyone, to this edition of the State of Greater Western New York report. Join us each episode as we discuss fantastic topics ranging from history to science to the strange and the wonderful, as well as the treasured spirit with which our region has infused America. We challenge you to consider all things Greater Western New York, from our region's very beginnings to how it inspires, how it empowers, and why it is so admired. Here's the host of the State of Greater Western New York report, Chris Carosa. Well, welcome again, everyone, and hopefully you can hear us loud and clear on our Zoom platform. If you're not, just send me a message in the chat, and I'll try to work on that. But if you have any messages or questions as we go forward, also put those in the chat. Let's start today by introducing our guests, and we'll start with, I guess we wanted to start with Hank, right? Hank, tell us a little bit about yourself, what you've done, and where you're at in life.
Well, I worked for Xerox for 30 years and had a great job, and life was fun. But now I'm retired, and I'm interested in the state of the country and the world, and the big issues, which I consider to be nuclear weapons, and the continuing war threat, the climate crisis, and overpopulation. It seems to me these are things that are not much discussed, but they're very much the background of the situation we live in. In front of this, we have the spectacle of party politics, which is, to my way of thinking, not entirely getting at the issues.
Okay, thanks, Hank. And now let's move over to Paul. So that was Hank Stone, and let's go back to where we were. Sorry about that. Here we go. Paul, why don't you tell us a little bit about yourself and your background and where you're at today?
Yeah, thanks for having us on, Chris. Paul Hudson. I live in East Bloomfield. I've lived here all my life except for the 10 years I lived in Canandaigua. I'm a retired advertising guy. I made my career in marketing, making people buy stuff they don't want to buy. And I'm a grandpa. I've got 18 grandkids. I live in a 225-year-old house out in Bloomfield. Like Hank, I'm interested in the community and the broad community, the world situation. I'm very concerned with all these grandkids about what we are leaving for our grandchildren in terms of headwinds, challenges, quality of life, and so forth. I think that's good for me to get going.
All right, great. Thanks, Hank. So it's going to be difficult for our live listeners right now to hear the guests as they speak. I'll be working on that as they're talking. However, we are recording this, and it will be available on the internet. The studio's getting their voices, so you can always come back at another time and listen to the broadcast with audio. So those of you who are watching this in the recorded format won't care what I'm saying because you're able to hear them. So let's start with this discussion. So we're going to move to a different format here, more of a three-way kind of roundtable, and I could look at my guests here and position myself so I'm here. We're going to talk about the presidential election from what I'll call the Democrat point of view. So you guys basically will represent that. We're not here to discuss issues or anything. What we are here to do is sort of like record the feelings that you had personally as the campaign progressed. And it's not so much of a question and answer sort of thing as it is a discussion. So let's start with the very beginning, and that is, well, not the very beginning. Let's start with before the June debate. So we have Donald Trump versus Joe Biden head to head, heading into the debate. What were you guys feeling going into that debate? What were your preconceptions about both of the candidates?
Well, I'll start. I'm a never Trumper. I've been that way from the beginning. I thought he was a charlatan, and you've heard all the bad things that are said about him. Well, I said most of them myself, so I was interested in the other main party candidate, which was the Democrats. I actually resigned from the GOP, became an independent, but and I don't like Hillary Clinton. As an individual, I don't think I liked her, but I was happy to vote for her because she had experience at the high end, and she had a husband named Bill who was a pretty good politician and a pretty good statesman. So I was worried about Biden's age, and I thought he was going to be a transitional candidate, and I was looking for the handoff. Disappointed was not a handoff to a younger candidate.
It's interesting, Paul, that you say you're a never Trumper. I I think that I might want to do another show just on the whole never Trumper concept. But this is a key element for people who are watching this well into the future. There was a substantial contingent. I mean, I don't know if substantial is the right word because of the results of the election, but there was definitely a significant number of people who called themselves or would consider themselves never Trumpers. And it's important to realize that that transcended party lines. So it included Republicans, Democrats, Independents, a number of people across party lines. There's a flip side to that too, and maybe we'll get that when we talk about the next point of view in another show. But that's important to realize. So Paul, you would classify yourself as a never Trumper. Hank, you're a little bit more cynical in this matter. How did you enter into this current election? This is pre-debate now, before you saw the debate.
Uh, I naturally assumed that I would go for Biden because he seemed to be sane. Uh, so uh, Trump had presented himself consistently as untruthful and a bully and a felon, an unapologetic one at that. So impeached twice, uh, unpatriotic, didn't care about the country, didn't care about the rules of succession, uh, and uh, and most recently wildly unhinged. So so I guess that makes me a never Trumper.
Well, I mean, if you were you, uh, uh, would you call yourself a never Trumper just because you didn't like Trump and because you didn't like the other person, or and when I say the other person, the other candidates that he ran against, or were
I
you
wouldn't.
pro the other candidate?
Uh, uh, when I saw Biden stagger out onto the debate stage, I was appalled and shocked and thought, "Oh no, there it goes." It hadn't occurred to me at that moment that the party would get around to flushing him out, which I thought was a terrific idea. And once I once I had that picture, I thought it was going to happen right away, and I thought the Democrats would organize a circular firing squad. Uh, but it didn't happen that way, and uh, it took Biden so long to drop out that the opposition to Kamala never had a chance to materialize.
So let's
So
let's not get too
uh,
far ahead of ourselves in the chronology, because remember we're
Can
trying to record what your feelings were like as they were occurring. So what you're saying, going back to the debate now, prior to the debate, you're definitely backing Biden, and just want to confirm that was you agreed with his policies, so you were comfortable backing.
Oh no, I was not.
Oh,
I was.
okay, okay.
I mean, compared to what? Uh, it seemed to me that the business in Gaza is unforgivable. Uh,
Hmm.
here, here is our country being tied hand and foot uh, to the Gaza genocide. I'm thinking uh, that's there's just no excuse for that. That's appalling. And uh, on the other hand, he seemed to be able to talk in complete sentences, and uh, and I thought, uh, you got to vote for what you got.
Right. Okay. So it's like the better of two evils. Is that what they say? Uh, Something like that. Anyway, so okay, now let's get to the actual debate. So you're heading into the debate. Both of you are supporting Biden, and as far as you know, everything is copacetic with him. And then you watch the performance in the debate. And Hank, you're saying that you were struck by that. Do both of you guys agree with that, Paul? Did you agree with that assessment, or did you guys actually
Yeah.
talk about it when it happened? Uh,
Well, I was sitting with my wife watching it, and Hank said that Biden dotted out or whatever, something like that. And he did. He came out like a very old man, um, and he looked feeble, and he went comatose against the barrage from Trump, which, as it turned out later, and we'll get to it, I guess, Kamala was easily able to deflect. But and Biden, instead of looking at Trump and laughing at the guy and saying, "Hey, look, you're a felon, you're a misogynist." And by the way, I want to add the word misogyny to Hank's list of negative attributes for our friend Donald. I have 5 daughters, and I can't imagine any one of them sitting next to this guy in a plane. But yeah, I looked at my wife at the debate on TV and I said a bad word. I said, "We are blanked." Um, and that's how I felt.
okay, so the initial response after the debate was one of defense of Biden. In other words, you didn't see what you saw. That was the initial response. You saw, I'm assuming both you guys saw that initial response. What was your reaction to that when you saw the people on the news saying, well, Biden won, or he didn't do as bad as maybe it seems? You guys could talk. You don't have to. You just
I, I didn't
Yeah,
have any response to this. As far as I'm concerned, uh, we were being presented with two flawed candidates, uh, and and from my point of view, this was the best our country could do as we were set up. So we were set up to fail. Uh, I love this country. I have a lot of respect for it. I've I've lived here a long time. Most of my 81 years have been right here, and uh, and to me, it's simply appalling what the country has come to. That this is the best we could do.
I was grateful when the and pleased when the media started taking down Joe. Um, I didn't think Joe could beat Trump at that point after watching that performance. And I was happy that Pelosi spoke up. I was happy that Schumer spoke up. It took a little bit of bravery to buck the party line, but they did it for the right reason. It was better for the country.
hmm. So that took a while, though. Were you surprised on how long it took? It took about a little bit more than a month, maybe.
It didn't take the media long at all. I mean, at least the media that I watch, they
Oh, in
were
terms of take,
pretty.
yeah, right. The media was definitely the media
Well,
turned very quickly, but the actual
yeah,
switch didn't happen. Again, okay, let's not get ahead of ourselves. So, what happened right before the switch was the first assassination attempt, and what when you guys saw that, what was your immediate reaction?
I'll say that some of my friends that I'm surprised at said it's too bad the guy missed. Um, I did not feel that way, having lived through Kennedy assassination, as Hank did, as Reagan getting shot, Gerald Ford getting shot at, Bobby Kennedy and Martin Luther King. These are just terrible things, and our country's not supposed to be this way. That's not how we're supposed to do things. My second reaction was sadness for the people that got shot or disabled, maimed, hurt badly there. And the third one was like, this wasn't a partisan thing. This guy had on his laptop information about Biden as well. And I think it was just a matter of fate that Trump happened to be close by and he could get down there and do his bad deed.
How about you, Hank? What were your thoughts on it?
I'm not very excited about assassinations and assassination attempts as a way to winnow the field. And in terms of the lives being lost because of mismanagement of the country before, during, and after, it seems to me whether Trump gets his ear shot off or is assassinated is not relevant in my world.
So did you feel there was any change in your perception of the campaign as a result of the assassination attempt? Did you feel
No.
more sympathy for Trump or any
No.
other? No. So it was a more of a historical type of event rather than a political type of event.
From my point of view, it was irrelevant to the questions of our time, and what were, suppose this was something that made people want to vote for the guy. Well, we were getting ahead of ourselves, but they did.
Mm-hmm. So, that was certainly the feeling at the time of the assassination, is that would generate a lot of sympathy for Trump and therefore more votes. But
Chris, is that what you thought?
Is that what I thought?
Were you sympathetic to Trump at the point of him being the victim of this?
I have to be honest. I look at it more from a journalism standpoint. So I'm hearing what other people's saying more than thinking what I'm thinking. I didn't think that one way or the other. I was just picking up on that a lot of people were saying that this would make Trump be elected. I again, in retrospect, and we are getting ahead of ourselves, I don't think it quite turned out that way. I mean, I know Trump won, but I don't think he won because people felt sorry for him, just in terms of what I've heard. But again, let's go back to that time. So it was, I believe it was probably a day or two after that, or very quickly after that, that Biden dropped out and essentially gave the baton to Harris. That process, so both of you guys like the idea of Biden dropping out, right?
Yes.
Okay, so did you like, what did you feel about, and I don't have to say whether or not you liked it, but what did you think about the way it was handled, where essentially Biden gave it to Harris? Is that what you expected, or were you thinking something different should have happened?
I didn't expect that. I was happy for it. I would have been happier had there been an open convention, which could have been absolutely bonkers, mayhem. However, it would have given a chance for other plausible candidates to, state their case, and it would have helped Harris in the long run, as it turns out. I mean, she would have had more time to introduce herself to people.
Mm-hmm. Hank, what were you thinking about that?
I thought the open convention idea could have worked against the Democrats. It could have made it so that we heard all of the bad things about all of the candidates all at once, and people said, "Why vote?" And instead, I think it was an accident of history that Biden couldn't step down in time for this to happen. And by the time he set up Kamala and said, "This is the right person for you to vote for," there just wasn't time for the other candidates to get in on the action. And so everybody stepped aside and said, "Okay, it's Kamala by acclamation."
Now, when we go into the Democrat convention, at this point, Kamala is the unanimous pick, we'll say. And the convention had a theme of joy. And it seemed like there was momentum that came out of it, at least according to the polls that were issued, that sort of positioned Kamala Harris as a credible, serious, and potentially winning candidate. Did you guys agree with that? What were your thoughts? First of all, did you guys watch the convention?
Oh yeah, sure. She came across as she did a good job, I think, in the convention. She was a little scripted, and I think that lent an air of inauthenticity. And whatever you say about Trump, the guy speaks whatever's going through his mind. And she was very, very careful to hew to the script of Biden is very capable. He can run the country, but it's a time for a new generation, and I'm going to take over, and I'm not going to change very much. And I think the joy thing, I was joyed. My wife and I felt really good about a woman running things now. Let's give the ladies a chance. Um, I thought she was a very credible candidate and a younger one, and could grow into the job.
What I'm interested to hear is you guys no doubt talked about this amongst each other. How did you talk about it?
Well, my point of view is that Kamala was a woman, and I thought she was going to be president. And I thought, that's great. The women have been dragged around behind the Republican politics and the abortion question in what I think is an appalling way. So here's a lady who is cheerful and friendly, and Tim Walz is likable and honorable and clearly a good Boy Scout kind of guy. So this is a joyful moment for me, and she was also a skilled debater, so she could hold her own against Trump, and uh, I found it very difficult to believe that she wasn't going to win.
You mentioned the skilled debater, and she actually didn't she win the debate when she debated Trump? Isn't that what most people said, or was it a tie? I don't remember. She certainly didn't lose that debate. And was did that kind of reinforce what you were thinking about her, and that she was potentially a winning candidate?
I think she had the guy for lunch. I mean, she just ate him up and spit him out. It was almost hilarious. And then he went nuts, and they're eating the cats and dogs. He just went berserk. When she went with crowd size, he couldn't resist it. And it made you realize that another skilled foreign leader could easily turn this guy into a useful idiot.
So it's fair to say that debate. Now, this would be the Trump Harris debate in September, I think. That it just gave you more confidence that she was going to probably win the election.
It gave me confidence that she could do the job.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep.
Was there?
I thought she was going to win.
Go ahead. Oh, you thought she was going to win? Okay, yeah.
Yeah.
So, were there any issues that came to your mind during the course of her campaign? Now, try not to think about, post-election analysis. This is pre-election analysis. Were you concerned at all about anything she was doing? Because we know that a lot of people complained, well, maybe it was just media people, complained that she didn't do any formal press conferences. She didn't appear on podcasts the way Trump did. I guess.
She had a disastrous moment at a 3 o'clock TV show, which now I'm retired and I can watch TV at 3 o'clock. Maybe Hank can too. He probably doesn't. But I think it was The View,
Right.
and the lady said, "Hey, what would you change?" And she goes, "Gee, I can't think of a thing. Nothing comes to mind." And it was a terrible moment. And it was bandied about the media, and you thought, "Oh man, she really goofed on this one."
Did you watch that, Hank, or did you pass on that show?
No, uh, my feeling is this is irrelevant to the future history of the country. If she's going to win, uh, I think that's good. Um, if she isn't going to win, um, actually, I didn't give that idea much thought because
Okay.
it seemed to me the reasons not to vote for Trump were so clear, so compelling, and so out there. Uh, yeah, like where do you expect people to go with a line like they're eating the cats, they're eating the dogs, they're eating the pets of the people who live there? That's unhinged. That's crazy shit.
So nothing during the actual campaign really dissuaded your support for Kamala. When we get to the actual election, uh, were you guys watching the results as they unfolded that evening, or were you just saying, "I'll wake up in the morning and hear what happens"? Or did you even expect the election to be resolved on election day?
I
I
was
didn't.
surprised.
Okay,
Yeah.
so both of you were surprised. I think that was a typical response because certainly the media was building that expectation into the audience. Uh, they said it was going to take a while. So then, when you saw the actual results on election day, at what point did you realize it was over?
So I woke up about 6:30 to let the dog out, and I turned on the TV, and it said something about President Trump. So that's when I found out. It was the next morning.
Hmm. How about you, Hank?
Mm.
Yeah, it wasn't until the next morning for me, uh, and I still couldn't believe it. Uh, the like here I thought I was living in one country, and uh, and overnight somebody switched countries on me. We went from what I thought we were living in to what I now see that we are expected to live through.
Hmm. So as everyone could see, I skipped the commercial for this show because I didn't want to break up this discussion because I felt that we were on a roll and that you guys have done an excellent job of just telling us, chronicling for history, really, what your thoughts and feelings were in this presidential election season. Let's
Chris,
go ahead.
is it okay with you? Can I go back to one thing? You started out by saying this is maybe the Democratic viewpoint,
Yeah,
and
I
I
realize that that's a wrong way to describe it. Thank you for bringing that up.
wanted to correct that for at least for myself because I was a Republican my whole life
Yeah,
until
it's actually
2006.
better that you have that. It's from a historical standpoint, it's better that you are that way, or that you're here talking about that, because, like I said, this was a significant component of the campaign. And what I'll do is I'll rework when I title this show. I won't say Democrat view. Should I say pro Harris or anti Trump? What do you think is a better way to describe it?
politics of the election, because it doesn't get at the state of the country, it doesn't get at the state of the world, and it doesn't get at the meaning of this decision for the future of the United States and humankind.
Mm-hmm. Well, what the main thing is, what's that?
It's just political history,
Mm-hmm.
and to my way of thinking, it's a pretty embarrassing history.
Okay. Let's, if we are allowed to, can we end potentially on a positive note? And I know that you guys were discussing this in the green room. What is one hopeful thing that you might see come out of the new Trump administration? What thing did you guys think might be good?
Oh, I have an answer to that. It seems to me that we're because of the existential threats that our country is facing. I think we are pretty much asleep as a country, and I think under Kamala we would have slept through the next 4 years while things got worse. But I think with Trump, um, our the stuckness of our society uh, and the sleepy uh, addiction to our way of life that we've been going through may break down before we get to the end of the 4 years, uh, opening up the possibility for more new voices, more radical thinking, and a hopeful get well plan while there's still a little bit of time.
How about you, Paul? What do you think?
Yeah, I couldn't say that any better. Certainly represents Hank's big viewpoint of the world. He's got the eagle's view. I agree with that. I think Trump is going to do some crazy, crazy stuff that's going to wake us up, enliven different sectors in society, hopefully increase political activity and civics. I think people have gone to sleep on their civic responsibilities. Yeah, that's it. I'm drawing a blank. I'm like, I can't think of a thing.
No, you did well. You did well. You both did well.
I do want to say, I know you want to end this on a positive note.
Mm-hmm.
We don't deserve, I don't feel like I deserve this. I spent a lot of time worrying about this guy. And to me, it's not a good recipe for retired people to spend time worrying about this kind of stuff. I'd like to be on a positive upswing.
Well, that's why I tried to end on a positive note so that we could end that way. Well, thank you both for being here. Thank you for sharing your thoughts and feelings about this. Again, hopefully some future historians will be able to use this in their research to say, hey, this is how people felt in 2024. And those of you who are watching this or who do want to watch shows like this in the future, remember, you can just go to our website, stateof.greaterwesternnewyork.com, and you can actually watch this show again there. And also you could sign up to receive the free invites to every show. Every time we do a show, you can join the live audience and you can ask questions of our guests as we're going through. Also, the show is rebroadcast on our YouTube channel and Facebook page. If you like the Facebook page and subscribe to the YouTube channel, you will be able to see the shows when they air again on Sundays at 1:30 p.m. So that's all we have for this week. Thanks again for being here, and thank you guys for being part of today's show. We will see you all again.
Thank you, Chris.
Yeah, next week.
Thanks for having us, Chris.
Bye-bye.
It's a pleasure.
This up over here.